Corinne, can you tell everybody what we're making?
We're making, what's it called? Pavlova.
Uh-huh. And one of the really important things that we need to do when we make pavlova is to have egg whites. Now, Corinne, hold on. You want the yolk to stay in there and you don't want the yolk to break.
Okay.
Okay, so keep the yolk in the shell. And so what Corinne is doing right now is she is separating egg whites from egg yolks, and it's really important that you don't get any yolk in the white, because otherwise, if you do get yolk in the white, it won't foam up. We're gonna keep our yolks and do something different with them later. Okay, now Corinne, hold on. So that we don't ruin the rest of the whites that are in there, let's pour the whites that we have so far. I'm sorry, you know what? Push the measuring cup off to the side, and then you can separate them into, there you go.
Okay.
And then we'll pour the white that you get that's good and clean into the measuring cup until we get 3/4 of a cup.
Oops. Oh, no. Oh. You can still
Okay, hold on. Do you have shell in there?
Yeah.
Take the shell out of there first.
Okay. There.
Okay. Now, what is helping Corinne keep that yolk intact? There's a little membrane around the yolk called the vitelline membrane, and that holds the contents of the yolk. So that was why Corinne was able to pull that yolk out of there with her fingers. Okay, put the yolk in where the yolks go.
Okay.
There we go. All right, that was a good save. Now dump your white into the measuring cup because it's nice and clean. Now we got to get 3/4 of a cup. Are we getting anywhere close to the 3/4?
Wait, is it on this? Oh.
It's on the other side.
No, it's on that side, Corinne.
Oh. Huh. Yeah, just one more line.
Okay. And eggs are actually kind of amazing when it comes to cooking and baking. They do so many things. And the power of eggs that we're taking use of today is the fact that the egg white or the albumin will foam if you whip it. And so we're going to basically make a meringue out of the egg whites.
But some people don't like eggs. Like one time when my grandma was babysitting this kid, his mom told my grandma that he didn't like eggs, and so my grandma baked cookies, and then the kid saw that my grandma put eggs in the cookies, and he thought she was doing that just so he would eat them.
So he would, or so he would eat eggs?
No, so he didn't.
Oh.
He didn't eat the cookies.
Okay, now are we at 3/4 of a cup yet?
Yep.
No, we're at 2/3 of a cup.
Oh, okay.
Turn that around, Cameron. Let's see what we've got.
Do one more.
Okay, well, you want to put it on a level surface when you're looking at that. So set it on a level surface. Oh, we are super close. You know what?
Do one more.
Oh, boy. I think we're good, actually. I think that's good. Okay, let's call it good. All right, so the next step is to put the egg whites into a mixing bowl. And then our 1.5 cups of sugar goes in the mixing bowl. And then Cameron is going to mix these two ingredients together with a whisk until they're combined. And then once we get our hot water boiling over here, we're going to basically make a double boiler by setting this metal bowl on the hot water. You don't want the hot water to touch the bottom of the bowl. And then we're going to cook it until it's 160 to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so we have our double boiler set up. Basically, it's a pan on the bottom with some water in it, and then a metal bowl sitting over the top of it. And the idea here is to gently heat the eggs until they get to 160 to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. We've got the thermometer going on here, and you can see we just started because they're only at 65 degrees. But we're just gonna keep going until they get close to 160 to 165 degrees. All right, so we're just checking in and showing you here. We're about 112 degrees Fahrenheit. You can see what this is looking at like, and we're just gonna keep going. We're getting really close to 160 degrees here. Got a lot of whining and moaning and complaining because arms are hurt and kids are fighting and but we're getting really close. Just making sure that my thermometer is not touching the bottom of the bowl. So we're actually getting an accurate reading of the temperature.
Probably good.
Okay. All right, we're gonna stop right here. Okay, can you do it? Okay, so we've transferred our mixing bowl with the egg whites and sugar to the mixer, and we're going to mix on a fairly high speed until we get a stiff peak. The egg whites are going to get fluffy and glossy, and they'll hold their peak when you lift out the beater in the mixer. See that we're definitely changing texture here. The egg whites or the albumin are holding air and getting fluffier, and you can start to see that they're getting glossy. They have a little bit of shine. Let's see if we have a stiff peak, and we definitely do not quite yet. You can see how really it's just kind of falling off. You can tell it's a little bit too loose at this point, so we're going to keep whipping a little bit longer so that they get a little bit thicker and stiffer. Okay, so we went a little bit longer, and you can see here how this is holding itself out into a stiff peak. It's got a whole lot more substance to the texture. So we're gonna stop here, and we're going to add in 1.5 teaspoons of cornstarch, 1.5 teaspoons of vinegar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, so Cameron's gonna put the vinegar in first, cornstarch next, and vanilla last. We're just gonna stir these in with the mixer. So what I've done here is I've just drawn a 10-inch circle on a piece of parchment paper. I just traced a paper plate in this case. And then you can turn it over so the pencil is on the bottom. And this just gives us a guide where to put the meringue. So for right now, I'm just gonna pile it all up in the center, and then I'm gonna kind of work it out to the edges. Ideally, you want to kind of have a little rim around the edge. Eventually, what we're gonna do here is cover this with whipped cream. And so if you have a little kind of indentation in the middle, you can hold your whipped cream and your fruit that you're gonna put on the top. Corinne isn't here to tell us, but we learned that Pavlova is named after a ballerina named Anna Pavlova from the 1920s. She performed in Australia and New Zealand, and Pavlova is named after her. Okay, so the next step is we're going to put the Pavlova into a 250-degree oven for about an hour and a half. And the idea here is that we want to basically dry out the Pavlova, the meringue. So it's going to be in here for quite a while. And the idea is that you want to stick a double-edged spatula underneath, and if the whole side of the Pavlova lifts up at the same time, then you're pretty sure it's done. We'll show you that here in just a little bit. Okay, you want to take a quick video of it in there? Since you showed that. Okay, so we're just checking in. Of the beginning 90 minutes, there's about 21 minutes left. This is what the Pavlova is looking like at this time. We still have a little bit longer to go to kind of dry this out. Okay, so the 90-minute timer just went off. I'm going to turn the oven off and put a wooden spoon into the oven door just to keep it propped open slightly, and then leave the Pavlova in the oven for 90 more minutes. Okay, so one way to know that your Pavlova is ready to come out of the oven is to put a double-sided spatula underneath of the edge of the Pavlova. And when you do that, if the whole Pavlova kind of lifts up like that, you know that you're done. The thing that we're going to do is to whip some heavy whipping cream to make whipped cream to go on the top of the Pavlova. We're going to use 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Corinne's going to pour that into the mixer bowl. And then we're going to whip it with the whisk attachment at high speed until the heavy cream foams and it looks like whipped cream. Okay, so do you want to put the mixer beater down? And then you can turn it on to a fairly high speed.
2?
No, probably most of the way up.
4?
6.
Yeah, keep going. Go.
6.
Go, Corinne. All right, now that the whipping cream has started to foam a little bit, we're going to turn it up at this point. That way it won't splash around. Okay, turn it a little higher. Okay, we're just going to keep going. Okay, so now our whipping cream is whipped into a foam. And we're just going to take the mixer beater off of there and kind of stir it around in the bowl so that we get any of the last bits that didn't get mixed up originally. Okay, so Cameron is going to lift up the Pavlova and put it onto our tray. And then we're going to put the whipped cream onto the Pavlova and spread it around.
And we're just going to use the same knife because it's rounded and it really helps.
Yep, and you can also use the rubber scraper if you want to too. It's whatever works the best for you. The rubber scraper is nice to help get all the whipped cream out of the bowl. But you can spread with the double-sided spatula if you want to also. So I would just mound all the whipped cream right on the top there, Cameron, and then we can spread from there, okay?
Yeah, just put it all in the middle, and then when we're done getting it all out, we can just spread it over to the sides.
Yep.
And all around when we're done.
Can you scrape the bowl really well with the rubber scraper?
Yep.
That's tall. Okay.
There's a lot in there. It's hard to get out.
Okay. maybe like scrape it off with this.
Well, Corinne, can you start to spread it around the pavlova?
Like this?
Yeah.
I don't want to do it with the rubber scraper. And do we want to get it on the sides?
Yep.
Okay. That's what all this is for. So I'm going to spread it up to the sides and then you put on the sides.
Okay, so we've gotten the whipped cream spread on the top of the pavlova, and Cameron is just taking a paper towel and wiping up the whipped cream that got into places where he didn't want it to go. You might have to switch to a new paper towel, Cameron, if it's not. Okay, so we're gonna try, put it down on the board, please. We're gonna try to scoop the kiwi out of the skin, just so that's a little bit easier for kids to do. We'll see if we can get that done. Just, no, just cut through. Cut it in half. And then take like a spoon that you would eat cereal with and you scoop it out of the skin.
If you use the wrong side of the paring knife, then it won't be that easy. One time I did it with cutting strawberries and I was like, oh, what is going on?
Corinne, do you want to wash the strawberries so we can cut them and put them on top of the pavlova? Okay. So is it working, Cameron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorta. I'm just making kiwi juice.
It's okay. Just put it on the board. We'll wipe it up later. So you can really top your pavlova with whatever you want to, but I think something common to top it with is strawberries and kiwi. And you can cut them however you want, whatever shape you want.
This is kind of hard.
No. So we're going to continue to try to cut these kiwi in a little different way. Cameron is going to use his paring knife and cutting toward his thumb. Peel the skin off of the kiwi. Try and see if that's a little easier than scooping it with a spoon. And Corinne is taking the tops off of the strawberries, the stems, and then she's just going to cut the strawberries into small pieces.
Some of these strawberries are like flat, like they have a flat bottom. I just cut them in half.
Now where the stem is, Cameron, it's sometimes hard to get that off there like you've kind of experienced, so maybe go just a little bit deeper right at the stem part. You don't have to take a lot of the flesh or the fruit off, but just right by the stem, go a little deeper.
And if you're cutting it like I'm cutting it, if you ever make pavlova at home, I just look at that. I just look at this little triangle and I cut in the middle of that.
Okay.
And you want to make sure you're using the right side.
Okay, so we're just continuing to cut kiwi and strawberry. learning a little as we go here and getting better with time.
Okay. So what I do is I cut one, I want to make sure it stays together, 2, and then 3, and then I just cut it in the middle.
Okay.
And put it in my pile.
Okay, so now we're just gonna figure out how we're gonna cut the kiwi. Cameron's just gonna slice it, and then you can arrange them on top of the pavlova however you want.
Yeah, an idea for me will be like maybe do a spiral or something.
Okay, you might want to talk to Cameron and kind of decide what you guys are gonna do.
Our ideas right now are like a spiral. Cameron, what did you say? Like put the kiwi all around and then put strawberries in the middle. Oh, that looks cool.
Like that, and then just cut one kiwi in half. Oh. And then
Strawberry.
and a small strawberry. Oh shoot, I dropped it. Like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then just do that and then put them all around.
Okay, Corinne, do you want to start arranging?
Can
Cameron, you can keep slicing, maybe?
you slice those like right in the middle? Like just take a whole pile of that, of the kiwi, and then just, sorry, just like slice it right in the middle.
because we're gonna do like a flower kind of thing. Because the big pieces are gonna be like the edge of the flower kind of thing, and then
So we can make big ones and little ones. You can just
You can arrange it however you want, right?
you can just make it your own, like.
Yep.
And get other ideas if you don't have any ideas. But one of my suggestions is like get a lot of ideas of how you might do it, and then pick one that you want to do.
Yep. So we're continuing to decorate the top with kiwi and strawberries. We've got a little pattern going on around the edge and then some flowers that we're creating on the top with the kiwi and the strawberries. Okay, so this is our finished pavlova on the top, and Cameron's going to use, what kind of a knife, Cameron?
serrated.
Okay, and we want to kind of saw through. Ooh. Yep, little short strokes. And then you know that double-sided spatula, Corinne? Where did that end up?
I don't know.
We could maybe use that to get it out of there.
Use what?
The spatula.
The double-sided spatula.
Oh, it's in here.
Yeah, you can rinse it.
It's
It's
not
fine.
cut
Just has whipped cream on it.
in half, but
That's fine. We're just going to cut it into wedges. So maybe just do a little, don't go all the way here.
not normal.
That's a pretty big wedge, but
Yeah.
Okay, Corinne, can you bring the double-sided spatula over here and you can put one of these wedges on a plate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maybe try to get the double-sided spatula underneath and scoop it onto the plate. Okay, be careful. Ooh.
Looks so good.
Oh, goodness.
Oh,
There we go.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our wedges onto our plates and we're gonna taste test now and see what we think.
Can't get this off.
Well, there you go. Light and fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you taste the sweet meringue underneath?
Yep.
The tanginess of the fruit?
That's good.
Okay. The creamy from the whipped cream?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So was that a success?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, lots of work, but a success, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mhm.